Yo, 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 yo. What up, comiXsense community, crowd, crew? That is the 3C family. We're back again with another episode of CSP, Comic Sensory Perception. It's been a while, but here we are, right back at it. Hope everyone can hear me out there in Facebook and in YouTube land. So, really quick, before we bring in Ian Michaels and our special guest tonight, Darren Tucci of Pressing Matters LLC, we're going to go ahead and keep some lights on. We're going to pay some bills. And as always, we're going to pop those comments up on the screen. But first and foremost, peep the scroll at the bottom of the screen. Like and follow comiXsense on Facebook and join our comiXsense Facebook group. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us at comiXsense on Instagram. And find us on the Twitter. So then, what up, Peter Maresca? About to bring in, first we're going to bring in Ian Michaels. What up, Ian? Bringing in
What's
Ian
going
first.
on?
Go ahead and bring in Darren. Shout out to the people, Aaron. We're back at CSP. How's it feel, bro?
We're back. 2 nights in a row.
Right.
2 nights in a row.
Covered the con yesterday. Now we're chilling today. We got Darren Tucci from Pressing Matters LLC. You want to say some stuff to the people before I bring him in? I got the comments going. What up, Mike Chang? What up, Jay Pop?
Bring in the man.
I'm gonna go ahead and bring the man, and hopefully we'll get some Sam Ferrato and Rich Doesn't Read action soon. Comic Sam's and Rich Doesn't Read. Hopefully they'll pop in. They've got the link, so we're gonna go ahead. Y'all know the deal. Issue X, Ian Michael, Comic Sensory Perception, back at it. Darren Tucci in the house.
Hey.
And here he is, the man. Darren Tucci, Pressing Matters LLC. Shout out to the people.
How's everyone doing? Good to see everybody on here tonight. Good to see you guys again.
Yeah, really awesome seeing you, Darren. So I was at your house a week ago Friday. We talked about doing this. Had some Turkish coffee. It was really dope. Really dope. And we talked about getting this done. And Darren, we were thinking next month. And Darren is like, you know what? I mean, let's see if we can get something done Sunday. I'm really glad that you did that. Really glad to be back. Really glad to be online. Shout out to Peter. Shout out to everyone in the stream, by the way. Darren Tucci, Pressing Matters LLC. For those of you who don't know, in Facebook and YouTube land, Darren Tucci is a presser extraordinaire and OG in the comic industry. A lot of knowledge. He just showed us some really dope Golden Age Wonder Woman books, which I'm going to get him to show you. But he also presses, look at that, Golden Age. That's Wonder Woman #6 out of the Golden Age.
Where do you find that? Where do you find that?
You're not going to see it. comiXsense Perception, messing with comiXsense, Darren Tucci, Pressing Matters LLC. That's where you're going to see that. The stuff he has at his house, craziness what Darren has at his house. It's crazy. You don't understand. I just looked at a Timely Comics from Captain America Timely Comics. Just showed me Captain America from Timely Comics, pre-DC Captain Marvel. What are we doing? Captain America #27, Timely. When I tell you, an OG in this comics community, but not only that. So Darren's been in the comic community for a long time. He is an OG. But not only is he an OG in the community, he presses and he cleans comics through Pressing Matters LLC. He puts on local comic cons. His Decepticon here in Western New York, really dope con. Really innovative con. You guys know about the growing trend in backyard cons. His is the backyard con of all backyard con, like for real. Like this is a con. You think it's just you going to somebody's backyard. We're talking comic book men are there. Mike Grell is in the house. Who'd you have last year?
Joe Rubenstein. We had it. It was the first one indoors, and we had Joe Rubenstein come out. And Ming again, because Ming loves Genesee beer. So, you know.
I don't think he's the only one that loves it.
This year was different. I was going to do something, and with personal issues, I decided to postpone it for a year. I'll tell you, one of the things putting on a show, which is most people who put on shows will tell you, is it's tough to kind of line up the stars and people that are they mean something in the community, you know, whether it be an OG writer, artist. And you have to jump on them before the convention season goes. And sometimes you have to do it a half a year to a year before, because these guys get booked out, you know, with all the big C2E2s and Baltimore cons and New Yorks and Bostons, you know, they're at a premium. So you gotta jump on them early. And this year, there's just way too many one step forward, three steps back. There was venue issues. The original venue that I had at last time, they bumped me. Even though I put money in, they bumped me so that they can give it for another function. And then I was scrambling to find another venue, and it just got a little too much. So I said, we're going to take a year off, and we're going to come back at it, and it's going to be big this next one. So
it's really awesome too when you mentioned some of these OGs, right? Like Joe Rubenstein and Mike Rell, and it's a lot of people are high on some of the hot up and coming artists and hot up and coming writers, and I guess we can call. There's levels to it. I guess we can call your Jim Lees and your Todd McFarlane's OGs. They've been doing it long enough. But when you talk about Mike Rell, when you talk about Joe Rubenstein, and you say phrases like, giving people their flowers when they're here with us, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's really awesome to get to some of these cons and literally, bump shoulders. I got to interview Mike Rell, got to hang out with Mike Rell for a while in 2021. Right. It was really awesome. Joe Rubenstein was really cool. It's just really, 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 really profound.
And a lot of no offense to the newer guys, none whatsoever, because the newer guys are doing wonderful things. But when you line up OGs like that, those are the guys that created these characters that we love. Like, they are responsible solely for bringing us those characters.
And I mean, and if they didn't create them, they certainly gave us the formula for the character as we know it today. Like, they were the blueprint.
That's right. That's right. And some of them too, you may not be able to get the big boys, the first, what do you call it? The bullpen for Marvel. I mean, a lot of those guys are gone. So the secondary bullpens, like your Buscemas and your Ramitas,
DeFalco.
They're they don't even do shows anymore. John Romita Sr., I was lucky to meet in 1988 at Marvel Comics, and it was at the end of a tour, and because they would bring tours around at Marvel when they were in New York City, and I spent a half hour talking with the guy, and he gave me original artwork afterwards. I was lucky, but now these guys are in their 90s. So you're getting the people now that were bridging the gap between those first, original Marvel creators, and then what came after, like DeFalco and people like that. So, but good shout out is going to go to Empire Comic Fest too, because they're getting good names. I think Rubenstein will be back there. I know they've tried to get, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're getting back DeFalco.
I'm excited about Tom DeFalco.
Yeah.
I am excited about Tom DeFalco.
So what's great is I bought a comic yesterday, and Rich Parlog actually mentioned, he's like, you should bring this to Empire Comic Fest. I'm like,
what up, J. Rob? Peter Maresca says Jim Steranko is still around and talks your ear off.
Oh, that guy, yeah, there was a time I went to Baltimore Comic-Con, and it was crazy because he was there, and as a guest appearance, you had Jim Starlin. So Starlin was only in for the day, and I'm in Steranko's line, and I'm 3 away from meeting Jim. This dude is he's talking for a half hour, and I'm hearing over the intercom that Starlin's about to leave. So I'm like, save my place in line. I ran to Starlin's table, got a bunch of art prints. He signed them. We chat for like 10 minutes. I came back, and the line didn't even budge for Steranko. That guy can talk.
Listen, I don't think anybody can talk. Well, I'm getting some feedback.
Oh,
I don't think anybody can talk more than Claremont. Claremont will talk you to death, and he wants to talk you to death. He's gonna go to lunch. He's gonna walk through the park with you. Like, he's gonna do all the things. He'll talk. If you get him on a tangent, telling one of his stories, it's a wrap. Claremont will talk you. Really, really, really awesome though. Really, really awesome. Obviously, I'm an X-Men guy, so one of my favorite creators. I have no problem sitting around for Chris Claremont.
And I think that I think it's still on Amazon, but there's a really, really good documentary, in which they talk about how Claremont came to X-Men and just, regenerated the buzz around that series. I forget what it's called, but I mean, I'm sure I'll find it. I'll post a link or something like that to our page.
What's interesting, Go on, Ian.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome because really, honestly,
It's
he brought the
interesting when you
X-Men
say
back.
regenerated the buzz around the series because the X-Men was one of those books, obviously before my time, but because I'm an X-Men guy, done a lot of research, read a lot of the history, followed a lot of the old they used to put out periodicals covering these things. I actually have a stack of them that Bob, you remember Bob, let me borrow, a friend of Sam Ferrado's. So there wasn't buzz around X-Men. It just wasn't a great book. Concept was great, you know what I mean? Obviously we know the concept was great, but it just wasn't a great book. Very bland. Jean Grey was very much your classic damsel in distress. She served no purpose other than to be rescued, so to speak. It was just obviously it went to reprints because of it. Obviously with Lynn Wein, what they did on that giant size X-Men, what we're calling the international X-Men. Yeah, obviously what they did there. And then you're right, when Chris Claremont jumped on in '94, he obviously helped plot Giant Size in a whole new direction, right?
Think about the luminaries that actually went through that too. You look at the first, I want to say maybe 5 issues, maybe 10 issues where you had Kirby was doing the artwork.
Kirby.
Warner Roth was doing the artwork in some of them. You had Buscema in there for a bit. There's classic covers. Neil Adams, they brought him. That man, I tell you, he's either the most lucky or unlucky person in the world because they would bring him in when a title was flailing. So they brought him in for Green Lantern, Green Arrow. Remarkable run from 76 to 89. They canceled the title. They bring him in for the X-Men, cancel the title. So anytime they wanted to breathe life into it, they brought him in. But think about that run when Claremont came in and the artists he had. I mean, he had Cockrum, which people almost forget because Byrne came after him.
Yeah.
Cockrum, holy crap. I mean, I remember buying those issues off the spinner racks and being like, this one is better than the next, Every month you would get a better issue.
Yeah.
They were on a tear. They were absolutely on a tear.
Cockrum is actually, it's interesting, right? Because I was recently reading, I was in a group and people were talking about their top 5 favorite X-Men artists. And Cockrum doesn't even make the list, and it really made me think. Now that we're talking about it, right? He didn't even make my list.
Wow.
When I'm really thinking about it, right? Well, for me, because I came up in a certain era, so for me, obviously, it's more of the newer X-Men artists when I compare. But I still appreciate John Romita Jr. before he changed his style. Pre Uncanny 200, and I still appreciate John Romita Jr.'s style pre Uncanny 200 was really, really clean, clean before he got into the heavy inks and all the heavy lines, really clean style. And then I think about Dave Cockrum and his Wolverine, and barring the really bulky, clunky claws that he used to draw on Wolverine, his Wolverine was really, really, really special. Like it was obviously John Byrne changed the game with Wolverine, but Dave Cockrum's Wolverine, I mean, it's his Wolverine, right?
That's right.
It's his Wolverine. So you can never, I'm looking at a Dave Cockrum Wolverine, I believe. I was just looking at a Dave Cockrum Wolverine. No, it's not a Dave Cockrum Wolverine. But yeah, his Wolverine was really, really pretty special, actually. Like when I really go back and I look at some of Dave Cockrum, I mean, he wasn't my favorite X artist. He wasn't. But he was really, really good. He gave them his Storm bothered me, but he gave them that it really bothered me. Like his Storm really, really bothered me.
I'd assume that
Liefeld is really underrated, in my opinion.
I'd assume Liefeld is in that top 5 then.
Liefeld didn't do. He didn't work on the Uncanny Run.
Oh,
no, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, he didn't. No, my top 5 is obviously Mark Silvestri is at the top for me, and then Art Adams, which he did covers and issues. Art Adams is my favorite of all time, artist period. But Mark Silvestri is my top X-Men artist, and I like Will Patricio's very, very, very short run. I liked Joe Madureira quite a bit. Obviously, he's a new school, but I really liked Joe Madureira and I can't remember who I had at number 5. Oh, Byrne.
Yeah.
Byrne. Because what Byrne did with that classic run. I think it's Uncanny 108 through like 143, I think is where he stopped. Like he really defined the X-Men for the future. Like really, his Wolverine was really great. Like his Wolverine was the standard. It was really great. And he put him in the did he put him in the brown costume? Was it him? Yeah, he put him in the brown costume. No, I think Romita might have done that. I don't remember. I don't remember how long ago Wolverine started wearing that brown costume.
But if you ever talk to Claremont, you don't want to bring up Byrne, or talk to Byrne, you don't want to bring up. I guess those two guys. there was no love between those guys. It's combustible. But good comics, that's I guess we win from that. But the personal relationship wasn't so good.
Peter, I'm going to give John Romita Jr. props on his old school Amazing Spider-Man stuff, not this new school stuff. I don't want to hate on JR because of respect to the old OGs, but it's time for John Romita Jr. to retire. And it's okay. You can come back and do the occasional one shot.
Come on, man. This book is not Fire by Junior.
Amazing Spider-Man is one of the greatest runs in the history of comics, and for the past 5 years, it has been one of the worst runs in the history of comics. And I mean, one of the worst runs for collectors.
So what's great is they're giving us another oversize.
Yeah, of course. They do it every 10 issues. You get 15 covers for $9.99. Like every 10 issues, there's a milestone because they put out 2 issues a month, sometimes 4 issues.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? Why not why, but why do this to your loyal fans who want to put together Amazing Spider-Man runs? Why do you do this?
They're just giving us the middle finger. I mean, let's face it.
In the day, back in the 70s, you had, besides Amazing Spider-Man, you had 2 other titles that had Spider-Man in it. You had Marvel Tales, which reprinted Amazing Spider-Mans, and then you had Marvel Team Up. And then in 77, 78, they came out with Spectacular. And then,
Web of.
Yes. I mean, one of the things I was never crazy about is you don't need multiple titles for I wish Marvel would go back to the standard one book, one character or group. When you start doing these mini series and Avengers have Uncanny Avengers, New Avengers, Old Avengers, Secret Avengers, Dark Avengers, Jesus Christ. Knock it out. You're wasting so much money.
When you look at
Avengers West Coast.
When you look at the history of Marvel, though, you got to look at titles that endured, right? Which is why you got so many Spider-Man titles, because coming out of that 60s run, X-Men weren't really popular. Right. Daredevil was a great book. We were just talking yesterday. X-Men and Daredevil didn't get their due with those other 1963 books until 10 years ago, where people started really looking at those as big books. Fantastic Four, a lot of people love that Fantastic Four early run, but once it got past issue 200, once it got higher in numbers, it was kind of, Thor. If you go far back as the early 80s, late 70s, there weren't a lot of people reading Thor.
Bad stories, real bad stories.
Yeah, really. And not only real bad stories, unrelatable, right? Like it was written in a language that was like 16, 15 years old. You don't want to read that prose. You know what I mean? Like it just wasn't really relatable. Spider-Man, and it's interesting because a couple years ago I did research on the history of Marvel and DC and why Marvel had some of the most enduring characters to actually read, where DC has some of the most iconic characters, but not to necessarily read. Because when you're talking about the height of the Marvel DC competition, X-Men and Spider-Man, Claremont's X-Men and Spider-Man were killing DC's flagship title, that being Superman. DC had Batman and Teen Titans, everything else. And so, but the comparison was what they compared was who Marvel appealed to. Marvel got a little edgier in the 60s, and started to appealing to teenagers and 14-year-old kids, and they put out titles that spoke to issues that we could relate to, where you're getting cool characters like Spider-Man and the X-Men, and DC's giving you Matter Eater Lad and Lightning Lass and Superman, and like
it just wasn't dynamic.
No,
it wasn't dynamic at all. Hey, by the way, check backstage to see if Sam's there.
Sam
said he's
here.
in. Yeah.
Let me go ahead and intro Sam. It's been a long time. This is a special moment. It has been a while since we've been able to hang out with comic Sam Ferrato in the house. My man, comic Sam Ferrato.
What?
He exists, folks.
We thought we were sending a search party after him for a while.
Listen, I had to give a special shout out to comic Sam Ferrato. I miss you, bruh.
I miss you.
Listen, Comic Sam is the only person in America who still owns a phone book, and he's using it right now. I just want you. I got a collector's item. I assure you, he's using it right now. Shout out to you, man. Really, really, really great to see you in the stream, bro.
It's great to see all of you. I heard a little bit about you guys talking about Amazing Spider-Man, so I can weigh in. Are you talking about variants? Are you talking about
no? We're talking about the oversize
right now. It's wild.
Oh yeah, we can do that all day. We were actually talking about how Darren had mentioned how Amazing Spider-Man went from Amazing, and then there was the Marvel team up in the Marvel Tales, and then you eventually got Spectacular Spider-Man and Web Up and so on and so forth. And I was just mentioning how at the time Amazing Spider-Man was just one of the most enduring titles coming out of Marvel. Marvel obviously was shot in the dark. That was the reason why you had limited series, right? To see if a character would stick. That was the entire, with the exception of Secret Wars, which is to sell toys. The goal was to see if a character would stick, and if it was hot enough, the character got its own solo issue or what have you. But Spider-Man was arguably, and dare I say it, and maybe still, I mean, as far as most recognizable, certainly Superman is the most iconic and recognizable character in all of comics, but Spider-Man is probably the single most popular character in the history of comic books. Arguably the single most popular character as far as sales all time in the history of comic books.
Something you had a teenager with problems, and who did that before? Most of the superheroes. I think that's the reason why, to Superman's detriment, what's bad that you could take Superman down? Kryptonite. I mean, and
he always runs into it.
Yeah, right. So there wasn't really much there I mean, Batman is a better character because Batman, you could pretty much say, was one of the first, I don't want to say anti-heroes, but kind of a Punisher type of guy, because he used to shoot people in the early issues. Yeah, vigilante.
Exactly.
It's interesting because in that same essay that compared Marvel and DC, they posited that Captain America would be at home in DC and Batman would be at home in Marvel Comics.
Yeah, I could see that. Because Captain America is, he's I don't want to say a one-trick pony, but he fights for the American way and democracy and ideals and whatnot. And DC always had that, spoke to kind of an older generation.
So what is the interesting thing about that, though, Darren, is like they both stand for something similar: truth, justice, the American way. They both be fighting for those ideals. Captain America has evolved with those ideals, while Superman really has not. And I think it's because of the background, the power set, the fact that he's a god, while Captain America was he earned it, right? Because of his characteristics, and then it just worked out for him. But they should be able to take Superman to his roots, the Boy Scout, the one who fights for everyone. I would argue that kryptonite isn't even his biggest weakness. It's empathy and not being able to save every single person. If someone could write a story that really tied into that aspect, oh man, it'd be some powerful stuff. Yeah,
he really wasn't trying to save that lady in the canoe that one time.
Superman is the comic gift for us comic fans and the comic problem as well, right? Like the gift being Superman is the standard by which all superheroes, whether you're creating a new superhero, whether it's they're measured by Superman. He's the standard. Every hero, and then Batman is the other end of that spectrum. And every hero has to find a space in between Batman and Superman. If you're creating a new hero, they just have to find, because that's the bar. That's generally what you're comparing. You're trying not to recreate Superman, and you're trying not to recreate Batman, and you have them in mind somewhere when you're creating a new superhero. And so the curse with Superman, though, is because Superman is who he is, it's always going to be the hardest character to write. Always going to be the hardest character to write.
Right.
Because he essentially can beat everybody. Like, how do you know what I mean? What do you do? And it's interesting because it's the reason why someone said for 40 plus years, Superman has just been horrible to read. Yeah. And they've had to retcon his powers, and now there's 3 different Superman and 3 different Earths, and they had to, first he couldn't fly and he could leap tall buildings in a single bound, and then you got the Superboy, they had to turn him into Superboy, and they do all these things because Superman is just way too powerful.
Well, it's led to some just awful stories throughout the years. Like, they're just inconsistent. Some are way too campy. Some he is way too powerful. It doesn't resonate with the readers at all. It's funny. I was talking to one of our buddies, Nick Matthews, about collecting DC and the fact that some of Superman's books throughout the ages, they're phenomenal keys to have.
Yes.
They're sought out.
Yes.
They are just, I would love to own a lot of them. But then there's some Superman books. It's like, you can't give them to me.
There's a lot of Superman books that you just can't give to me.
Yes,
because he's got what 2,000-3,000 comics in print across his various titles. Like easy
Adventure, the main title. Like a million miniseries. Like, crazy.
Yeah. So and then you have some stories, right? Like, and I was talking to somebody recently. We were talking in the group about, somebody made a joke about cutting up books, and I was talking about how I had cut up Kingdom Come and made poster boards, which I did. Listen, you have some stories with Superman when he fought Shazam in Kingdom Come.
That was awesome.
That's Superman.
What?
That was awesome.
Easily. Mark Waid, Alex Ross.
Ross's finest hour.
Wow.
For sure.
Like when he fought Shazam, and Shazam's just like Shazam, and the blood's coming out of Superman's ear. Superman just grabs his mouth. It was amazing. Really great. Really great story. And of course, when Wonder Woman ripped his arm off and beat him with it in that Elseworlds tale that came out in 2020.
That like particular nerve for Superman and his fans, because it's like, what do you do when heroes evolve and they're not in line with your morals? And I think that's what Superman's all about. So how do you continue to strike that nerve with an audience? It's been done in so many like great ways. I don't know where to take it next. I think that's where it's so hard to write them.
Yeah.
Shout out to Del Guzman. Shout out to everyone who joined the room. Sean Mallory, Sam Murdoch, J. Rob, George Turnage. Shout out to everyone in the room.
As a nice kid, I love the death. It's the return that was awful.
Oh, so bad. It was so bad.
So the death of Superman was something, I was young. I can't remember, around a teenager. I remember when it happened. I remember everyone lining up outside of the store, waiting for hours for the store to open. And so the thing with the death of Superman is, to me, it was great. Like, you bring this character who literally beats up the DC universe with one hand tied behind his back, like in the way it was just really great. Like, as each part of the straight suit or straight jacket got loose, he just got more powerful. And then he beats Superman to death. What a way for Superman to die. Like, they beat each other to death.
Yeah.
I mean, it was brutal. It was really brutal. Sean Mallory with the comments. Sean says, well, to be fair, Captain America also has Cap Wolf, Armored Cap, and Lee-filled pulsing chest cap. Listen, I did a post. There's been at least 11 versions of Captain America, from your Super Patriots to your Liberties. I remember reading in Wizard magazine where they asked all the top writers and artists if you put every superhero from Marvel and DC in a Secret War situation where Beyonder took them all to the moon, who wins? And they unanimously said Captain America wins. Even the DC creators said he just finds a way to win, which speaks to what Sam said about when you compromise what you know a character to be. And it's kind of I remember reading the Phoenix 5, Avengers vs. X-Men, where Captain America pretty much begged the Hulk I was really not feeling that, where he like had to beg the Hulk to help him against the Phoenix 5 and the Hulk still lost. Like Captain America's talking to someone in the shadows and no one knows who. And he's like, you've always helped us before, because you remember he saved him in Secret Wars. You've always helped us before, and could you do it for us one more time? And it's talking to the Hulk. And I'm like, come on, man, this is not Cap. This ain't Cap, man. Cap ain't begging people. I remember I was reading, this is just I'm going to just say this real quick and I'm going to pass the mic. It's a great Captain America moment for me that happened recently. I want to say Captain Marvel, this current run of Captain Marvel, but I want to say issue 13 through like 15, where Captain Marvel was forced to beat the Avengers. A villain, Vox something or other showed up.
Vox Supreme.
It forced her to fight the Avengers, and she's fighting. She fought Iron Man toe-to-toe, beat him, fought Thor, fought all these Avengers, and she shows up to fight Cap. And this is just how dope Cap is. Cap he surrenders. He's like, I'm not going to fight you. He's like, you win. And she's like, why are you doing this? And he's like, because I know that if you're doing this, there's a reason. Like you're like, it was just so dope the way he handled it, like, because he's Cap, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's like, I know, like, I know you, Carol. He's like, if you're doing this for a reason, and whatever the reason is, we're gonna come out in the end.
Well, let me just jump in about the Cap, because somebody was mentioning certain things. Cap had attack of consciousness or conscience. In the 70s, I want to say Steve Englehart was writing the scripts, and it was the Secret Empire story, and it was leading into the Watergate stuff. And at the end of one of the issues, the person who's the head of the Secret Empire was supposed to be Nixon, blows his brains out, and Cap just says, "I'm done. I'm giving up, Cap," and he became Nomad. And then there was another time when he became the captain. I forgot what caused that at the time.
Because he lost the title of Captain America to U.S. Agent.
Okay, so Cap has always been in that place where he'll question if the liberty and the justice and democracy kind of goes against what he believes. He has attack of conscience and just says, all right, I'm dialing out for a little bit. So Cap is a really interesting character, because you can do a lot with him. I know in the beginning he was a bit of a whiny little bastard, because he's back. Where's Bucky? Bucky's dead. It's like, get over it, will you?
They certainly did that in the movies. They could have cast someone as unlikable as Chris Evans.
But you can work on his on him, because he is a deeper character.
Well, I want to say, and it's one of the reasons why. So I didn't enjoy reading Captain America as a kid, because they were just boring books. Obviously the Cosmic Cube, that Cosmic Cube arc was really good, where he literally willed himself out of the Cosmic Cube, because it's Cap. I want to just go on record and say, if we're talking Cap versus Superman, Captain America has more poignant and stronger moments in his comics, stronger written moments by like 10 times over Superman. There's so many moments. That's why I love Cap.
I think Marvel had the guts to write those kind of stories too, though. Editorial.
Yeah, and
if you just read their like soapboxes from that era, they were ready to push forward, and Captain America embodied a lot of that, and it continued until, a lot of those stories in the 70s were the basis for what leads Cap like morally, with the changes in Civil War that lead to his death and lead to like Winter Soldier and like all of that. The most interesting, arguably,
you said it, Civil War
of Captain America came from. I know it's in the comments. Like the Ultimates was awesome too, but once it got real political with the changing of times with like 9/11, man, Cap had some phenomenal stories.
Listen, when he walked in that room in Civil War, Maria Hill had all those SHIELD agents, and Cap just wiped the floor. Yo, listen, it was amazing. It's like one of the best. She knew too. She's like, yo, we gotta talk to Cap, and she had like 30 SHIELD agents. He's looking around. I mean, they tried to recreate it in the movie when he was in the elevator, but it didn't touch. It didn't touch what happened. That's why I hate Iron Man to this day. Because when I read the issue of Civil War, when he's just beating the crap out of Captain America, like, yo, bro, yo.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's an issue. I'm in the Justice League, and I don the Iron. I call it the tin can. And I liked Iron Man's character. I always liked it, and he went through weird phases too. But when he took that side in the Civil War, I just wanted to throw punch that fucker. I swear, that guy was so goddamn highfalutin. But he got his comeuppance. Do you guys remember when they rebooted the Thor title and Thor finally came back to
whooped him out?
Do you remember that? Thor kicked the living shit out of him. It was awesome.
And then he's like, I'm not done with you.
Yeah,
later on, I'm gonna get you for cloning me. But
he was like, that abomination that you made of me. We have a conversation. We're gonna get back to it. And Iron Man's like, oh, okay.
Thor whooped him out. I want to speak to Del Guzman's comment real quick. He was like, he asked if we think they're gonna make the Fantastic Four good this time. Really quick, I'm gonna put it up twice. I want to shout out Andre Snell. Shout out to you, Andre Snell. Thank you. We really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. Watching on YouTube too, man. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down on the video. Whatever you want to do. Just, do something for us. Really appreciate that. Let's go ahead and hit up Del Guzman.
So the worst part is they were on the right path. In my mind, John Krasinski, you can't do anything bad with him. He is just the ultimate. He's going to be likable.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving us Adam Driver.
Are they though? Is that confirmed?
I think he's like a wet paper towel.
Is that confirmed?
Yeah. I don't know if it's confirmed, but they did say that he had been in talks. Last blurb I heard.
I gave up on Adam Driver when I saw a Sith Lord crying. I'm like, yo, there's no crying in Sithdom. There is no crying in Sithdom. Man, he took off that helmet and tears is coming out of his face. I'm like, yo, bro, I'm done. Darth Vader ain't do this.
That
shows some emotion.
Never a true Sith Lord.
A true Sith.
Yeah.
I was done.
I kind of like when you can bring in a good, strong actor that isn't somebody who's recognizable. I mean, when you did the original Fantastic Four, Chris Evans as the Torch was great. When you had, Star Wars, I mean, people really didn't know who Mark Hamill was. That's okay. I like that. So when you get somebody who's a good actor but isn't like, you see Ben Affleck in a Daredevil movie and you're just like, well, that's Ben Affleck being Ben Affleck, but he's blind.
Really good Daredevil. It was a really good Daredevil. I'm sorry.
He was, but I want to see somebody that isn't the person that they always play in other movies. So give me somebody who's a strong actor, a good character, and then let him become that character.
I don't know.
Matt Damon turned it down.
In everything that he's done, though. Like his movie, Adam Driver's been phenomenal. He's had a lot of different movies. Now, do I think I like...
Have you ever seen Logan Lucky?
No.
I haven't seen that one.
Okay, so with this Fantastic Four film, right? We know it's gonna be obviously a Marvel Universe, MCU, Disney doing the Fantastic Four film, so we don't have the Sony problems. How do you when you say do it right, barring what Sony did, it's hard to do it wrong. No, excuse me, what Fox did, it's hard to do it wrong, right? You throw Dr. Doom in there.
You can do it wrong. You can ruin this whole thing.
But you shouldn't. They gave us Fantastic Four versus Dr. Doom twice already.
Yeah, let's give it up on Dr. Doom.
Wait, stop. Are we saying that we don't want to see Dr. Doom in the MCU? Is this what we're saying?
No, we do.
Him later.
But right out the gate, come on now.
I want to see Victor Von Doom.
Okay.
I want to see him and the group literally exploring. That should be what it is. It should
In
feel
the Fantastic Four?
Yeah, it should feel like a Guardian style, not humor wise, but in terms of exploring new realms of the MCU.
Yeah,
I don't want to see them based in Earth.
No.
Well, it stands to reason that Fantastic Four debuts at the tail end of this Kang drama. And then I could see Dr. Doom being aligned at first with Reed Richards like he was obviously in the comics. Like I could see Dr. Doom's intro with him being aligned with Reed Richards and Fantastic Four. We already know the Fantastic Four exists, right? We've seen the Baxter Building in the Doctor Strange movie, and we've seen hints of it in WandaVision. So we know the Fantastic Four exist, or at least Reed Richards.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I and obviously Marvel's always kind of hinted. I mean, in Secret Wars, Kang told Dr. Doom that we're related to each other. They've always hinted that Dr. Doom and Kang are related. We know Nathaniel Richards is Kang. So we know the Richards family
is what I want to see. I want to see him in the negative zone.
Yes,
you can't beat a nihilist in
the negative zone. Bring in Blastar. You know, at some point you want to have a tie-in with the Skrulls too, because come on, man, it's the Super Skrull and the Fantastic Four. Yeah, issue 2 or 3. I mean, you got to do that.
How do you do a secret invasion and you don't have Super Skrull? And you're doing a bunch of Skrulls,
right?
You don't have Super Skrull, but negative zone. So I don't have a problem with negative zone. It's just you can't beat a nihilist in a negative zone any more than Stephen Strange could beat Dormammu.
Right.
And of course he didn't.
Right. You also want to bring in Galactus. Don't make him a gaseous cloud. That was a joke. make him this guy who's like 8 stories tall and actually eats, planets. You gotta bring, because look, their rogues gallery is almost nearly as good as Spider-Man's rogues gallery.
Fantastic Four?
Yeah.
Better.
Well, okay. but think, when you have Kirby and Stan Lee get together, you're right. It is better. But
there's no one in Spider-Man's rogues gallery that comes close to Doc Doom.
Right. But when you think about this, Marvel is starting to get into the cosmic scene. Okay, you're going to have Adam Warlock. I mean, I really wish they would have done the original Captain Marvel, because he's my guy. The original Marvel, who was sent to Earth to spy and became Earth's unwitting protector. You're going to have, at some point, you have to bring in the Silver Surfer.
They're going to go. That not Marvel that they made into a villain in the first Captain Marvel film? Yeah, that was Marvel,
but it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. Jan Rog was the guy who had it out for Marvel's girlfriend and tried to either strand him here or kill him on Earth. Back in Marvel Superheroes, was it 16 and 17? I think.
But they had a version of Captain Marvel in the first Captain Marvel film. He was the villain.
Oh, I'd have to watch the villain.
Yeah.
You sure about that? I thought that was Jan Rog.
No, he called himself Captain Marvel.
Wow. Okay.
The British guy, the British actor, Ewan McGregor.
I swear to God, that was Jan Rog.
Jude Law.
I could be wrong. Jude Law.
Yeah, Jude Law. Right. But so you see what I'm saying is that Marvel is trying to go cosmic now, because let's face it, when you up the ante each time, you had Thanos with the mitt, and you want bigger baddies, right? Who's going to be the next big baddie other than Thanos, who can control everything? Well, you
corrected twice over.
You got Kang, so now bring in Thanos, bring in Doom. You got to start doing these things.
That was Jan Rog.
Yeah.
So Kang, I think Kang is leading to something. I think Kang is definitely leading to something else. Kind of like how Loki led to Thanos. I think Kang, although they plan to do a lot of movies with Kang, I think Kang is leading to something, because right now the Marvel Universe is going to split.
The MCU is leading to a reset.
You think
that's what it's going to lead to?
Yeah.
You think?
Really? Yeah.
Because the last movies are Secret Wars, right? What happens at the end of Secret Wars, the latest one, the universe resets.
Oh, okay.
If someone remakes the universe in their own image, and then you come out of it with a new continuity
and new characters, because you got to get rid of these older characters that
you can start
don't want to be cast anymore.
you can start over with new Iron Man, new Cap. Like you can redo it all.
Mhm.
Another
That makes sense.
20 years
Yeah.
of stories. It's a smart way to do it.
You got to keep recycling. So I mean, you know, where some of these new characters are, you always want those old and classic characters. And
Speaking of the reset, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to say this real quick. Speaking of the reset, I'm so glad you made this comment, Sean, because they definitely need to reset the duds that were the Elders of the Universe across the Thor Ragnarok movie and across those Guardians of the Galaxy movies, because the two Elders of the Universe, I love the castings, but come on, man, they didn't even know who Thor was. You're the Elders of the Universe. How do you not know who Thor is?
Elders need to know.
You certainly know who Odin is.
I just find it interesting that we've seen the head of the Living Tribunal and symbols of him now in a bunch of media, and we've only seen what, Infinity, right? Or Eternity?
Right.
On film?
Right.
We saw Eternity.
That's
we saw
it.
Celestial.
So, yep.
Yeah.
We saw the Living Planet, which is bigger than what they portrayed it to be, because the Living Planet is really big, like really, really big. What else have we've seen a few Celestials now, but we saw a dead Celestial. We've seen Eternity, and we've seen two Elders of the Universe across the Guardians of the Galaxy film and Thor Ragnarok. So we've got two Elders of the Universe. But they really downplayed those Elders of the Universe.
All that level of being has to come into play at some point, and what's going to spark that or make that happen?
It has to be the FF.
Has to be, because there's no Eternals 2.
Yeah, but Strange did it already. No, they're going with Eternals 2.
Is that?
Yeah, they already.
Yep. Did they put that on schedule?
Yep. They're doing it in Eternals 2. Strange did it though with Dormammu, right? Like Dormammu was the most powerful being we've seen in MCU so far, with the exception of the Celestials.
Okay.
But prior to the Celestials, it was Dormammu. Until we got Eternals and we saw a Celestial, actual living Celestial.
And who are we missing then from that list? Are we missing Chaos? We're missing the Stranger. We're missing Galactus.
Well, we're getting the Stranger.
Okay.
With Adam Warlock, right? They're just going to forego the Stranger altogether, right? With Stranger became Adam Warlock, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah, it was him. The Stranger was him.
The High Evolutionary is going to be in there, but that doesn't deal with the Elders.
So when you talk, so you got the Elders of the Universe, right? Which you saw, two of them. Why can't I think of their names right now? You know who I'm talking about. The main bad guy, not necessarily the main bad guy, but the guy who was in control of the Hulk and Thor and Ragnarok. It was an Elder. His brother was, he had the Infinity Gem in Guardians of the Galaxy. They went and got it from him. He had the museum with all the
the collector.
Yeah, the collector, and you had the Grandmaster.
Collector.
You had the collector, you had the Grandmaster. So those are the Elders of the Universe. But then when you have like the Infinites, right? Like Eternity, Infinity, Death, they're all like brothers and sisters. But then above them, you got like Order and Chaos, the Living Tribunal, the Beyonders, the In-Betweener, Galactus, the In-Betweener. I mean, obviously, we're never going to see things like the One Above All, which, you know, we're never going to see that. We shouldn't see that. That's just too esoteric and goes too much into theism.
What do you think that they're going too far into that right now? And I mean, it's very, very clear that the failure of Marvel is starting to catch up to itself.
I want to see nods to them. I don't want to see them as villains or people or antagonists.
But I mean, we talked about the reboot and the reset, and let's face it, you know, some of these new characters, you know, they're cool, but they're not going to sell. They're not going to sell like your Hulk. They're not going to sell like your Iron Man. They're not going to sell like your Thor. They're not going to sell like your Captain America. Cool. Yeah, you could read. I'm just saying movies in general.
I don't know. I think it depends on how well they're written and how good the script is. You would have never told me. You would have never convinced me in a million years. If you told me in 2003, we're going to do an Iron Man film, I would never think it was going to be Iron Man. Who was reading Iron Man comics?
No one.
Who was reading Thor comics?
Right.
Like nobody was reading these comics. Guardians of the Galaxy didn't even rate.
Is the best example of that. Like,
right?
Who would have thought?
Guardians of the Galaxy, exactly. Like it didn't even rate. No one was reading these books. Disney didn't have any choice because they didn't own the rights to the popular titles that people were actually reading. So I don't know, man. Think about it, dude. Ian, I know you're gonna feel some type of way.
No,
people just really loved a Hawkeye television show.
They did love that.
Right.
Just saying. There's a good chance that some of the, especially when they split off into the X universe.
Exactly. Like think about how much they have left. Like huge characters that they haven't brought back to the screen or have never been on screen.
Gentlemen, I'll be right back. Keep it going.
Nuts.
Okay.
Do you feel like they're going to squander their opportunity, though? I feel like they're squandering their opportunity right now.
No, because I don't think they define a hit as what we define a hit. You know, like looking at the TV shows, okay, Disney made a lot of like wrong decisions financially with streaming. They went way too deep, but I think it did what it needed to. Like, you now have fans who are in on different things. They're not paying attention to all of it. So I think that's where the writing has to get pretty creative to bring people along the way for like ensemble movies. But you don't have to follow all of them to be a Marvel fan now in media. So they're going to make money just off of the amount of properties that they have, and then the merch that goes out of it. That's where a ton of the money is.
And think about a couple things too that they taught us with What If. You know, they're throwing a whole bunch of things out there with What If, and then all of a sudden we got a Captain Carter in the Doctor Strange movie. So
yeah,
there's a whole lot of possibilities here. And like you said with the Guardians too, you know, they went through so many changes, but they hit on a good mix of comedy, excitement, cosmic, and great characters to play these people. So there's a secret sauce there. And what's really going to be the next interesting tale is what they do with the Thunderbolts. Because we're getting the Thunderbolts, right?
Yeah.
We've got a lot of flawed superheroes, you know, John Carter, or what's his name?
John Walker.
Yeah, John Walker. And the Black Widow's sister, Yelena. You know, this could be interesting. A bunch of anti-heroes. But in some ways, it seems like they're trying to mimic the Suicide Squad in a little bit, where you have the dark heroes. But I think if you got the right writers and a good script, you know, people will love it. So it's only a matter of time, you know, throw enough stuff out there. But you know, think about this too. Like they're going at characters like, who would have ever thought that they'd do a Wonder Man series?
Yeah,
you know, I mean, that's different. That's really different. And if they try and put it in a way like they did with She-Hulk, where, you know, good for them that they're getting heroes that are going to back up. Kate Bishop is going to back up Hawkeye. You know, if there's a change of the guard, She-Hulk for the Hulk. Wonder Man, TV star, I don't know what they're going to do with that. That one, I'm interested to see how well they can spin that to make it palatable.
I think TV shows in general are interesting to me now, because if there's going to be less of them, are we going to see more of those one shots like Werewolf by Night?
Yeah,
which was just awesome.
Oh, I loved it.
That thing was awesome.
But
yeah, if they
how are they going to determine what's movie worthy or not? Like Sean said it right here, like X-Men's on the shelf, which I figured was going to happen because they want to give people enough time to like cleanse their palate.
Yeah.
But after 2020, what is it, 2025 or 2026, you know it's going to be X-Men full steam ahead.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to make a ton of money. Like, it's going to go crazy for them.
But think about go ahead.
We'll finally see the X-Men in 2036.
I wonder, who do you think is going to get
sooner than
who do you think who's going to get the nod to be Wolverine? Because if you think of all the most visible characters and well-known characters, you know, Wolverine comes immediately, and you got big shoes to fill with Hugh Jackman.
Well,
I mean, did anyone know who Hugh Jackman was? You know,
Of
There
course.
you go.
That did make him, but he'd done a lot of movies prior, but it certainly did make him.
Yeah.
Sean Mallory, I agree. Not gonna say the best thing, but I did enjoy Captain Marvel.
I liked the trailer for the next movie.
Everybody got silent when Captain Marvel came up.
I know it got a lot of hate.
You talking about Miss Marvel, the television series? That was a great series too.
Oh, I like the series too, but
Right.
I can understand why it wasn't everyone's cup of tea, but it set the stage for this next movie. This next movie looks fun.
Werewolf by Night was the best Disney Plus show. Next was Hawkeye, in my opinion.
I have to say,
Hawkeye was brilliant.
Hawkeye was done very well, but I have to say that WandaVision was the way that started. I looked at it and I'm like, this is another armpit fart festival joke type of TV series. And when they, because it's like she's going from Lucy to the, oh come on. But what was great was they kind of put you at ease with like what you would expect out of a demented witch. And then all these weird things start happening where the comedy just fell right out and you're back into serious land. Like, what the hell is that radio transmission and what's this and what's that? I think they did really well to set up, because she's going to be integral somewhere in one of these subplots, whether it's
Better be.
She's going to be a member of ForceWorks. I just want to say, I mean, she was. I just want to say, as far as the best Disney Plus Marvel show so far, first of all, I'm really liking Moon Girl right now. That having been said, like I'm really liking Moon Girl. I don't think any of them were particularly great. I think they all served a purpose as vehicles to move the Marvel Universe along in the movies. I will say, and I will say this, and y'all can take me to task on it, the single greatest scene or performance ever in any of the Marvel TV shows was Jonathan Majors as Kang at the end of Loki. That last episode, when Jonathan Majors showed up, stole he stole the scene for every Marvel show prior.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Is it official? Is he getting recasted?
That's what it sounds like.
Is that happening?
It's not official.
That's what it sounds like. It's not official, but it's what it sounds like.
I have a question about that second last or last Loki episode, where Kang is basically laying out the groundwork for what we're going to be seeing in the next movies with Immortus and with Rama-Tut. But at one point, when Sylvie and Loki are there talking to Kang, and something happens, and you either hear thunder and Kang says something like, something cataclysmic just happened. What was that event? Did it show up in another movie? Does anybody know what that was? Because that is a secret to a lot of what's going to be happening in the movies to come. And I'm trying to
timeline.
Okay.
The time stream splits.
Okay.
Remember, they start to show this time stream split. That was what they were trying to stop, which is why, referring back to what Sam said earlier, Secret Wars.
So do you think it's that, or do you think it's Spider-Man with Doctor Strange?
I thought it was something like that with one of the movies, and I was hoping that they would tie it together so I could sit and go, oh, well, that's what the hell that was. But they like doing that. They like giving you little glimpses and then let you ponder on it for months or years.
The problem that we have with the Kang storyline is that there are so many Kangs.
I think that's awesome, though.
I mean, Kang is going to be, and I like what Sam said about the reset. Kang is going to be the reason why so many things that have not yet existed in the Marvel Universe exist. We're going to get Secret Wars, potentially going to get X-Men, because Kang is certainly responsible for Apocalypse being Apocalypse, at least on the level that he is, because he's the one who led him to the celestial technology that pretty much allowed Apocalypse to become, I mean, not that he wasn't a mutant already, but become the Apocalypse as we know him today. Egyptian Kang, Rama-Tut, obviously. There's Iron Lad Kang, who's also a member of ForceWorks.
That's right.
There's all these, different versions of Kang I believe the Kang we saw, to be honest, who was teaching at the end of Ant-Man 2, I think that's Nathaniel Richards Kang.
You might be right on that. They never flushed that out, though, did they?
No, well, we don't know. It was just like an end credit scene where he's
Okay.
teaching. It was an end credit scene to promo Loki. Actually,
Isn't it true that they pushed Loki back now a year? Is that what I heard?
I didn't hear that.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't mean it's not true. I just didn't hear it. It's supposed to be.
Oh, okay.
We've got Guardians 3 coming up, then the Marvels, then Captain America: New World Order, and then Thunderbolts and Blade, and that closes out Phase 5. And
we have Disney Plus shows dropping this year.
But we also have the new Spider-Man as well.
We have Loki and Riri dropping this year.
And then are they going to try to tie in Venom?
And
because we got
Secret and we have the Secret Invasion dropping this year, I believe, and Armor Wars.
And Agatha.
Wow. And Agatha too. Okay.
And Echo.
Wow. Did I just drop out completely?
And Ian, you said Spider-Man, right? Is there another Spider-Man film? I didn't hear anything about it.
I just read something. I just read something the other day. They didn't announce it, but it's slated.
In this phase?
That I do not know. I mean, because you got to remember that's kind of in that realm of Sony and Disney.
Well, it's in Sony's realm.
Yeah, so I mean, Sony can do whatever they want with it in unison with Marvel.
Right. Yeah.
I thought it was just that, like Peter said. I think the only Spider-Man product is going to be the Spider-Verse. That's all that I knew that was coming out.
Yeah.
You know, but I think Peter brings up a good point too about Riri, and I think they underutilized her in the Wakanda movie. You know, I don't know if she was more of a vehicle to move on to another story, but I really hope they do more with her because, you know, you have to have an heir apparent to Iron Man. And who do we have? You know,
maybe Armor Wars is gonna, because I think Riri's gonna appear in Armor Wars. She's got like, I don't know how many they do it by appearance deals. She's got a lot of appearances, so more than enough to cover a season. More than enough to cover a season, which they usually do 6 to 8 episodes. So more than enough to cover a season. Her first season. It stands to reason they'll write her into Armor Wars. Stands to reason.
Sure.
I think we'll see the Tony Stark AI.
They did not do her any favors whatsoever in that movie. And I think you could see that the prices with her books definitely, you know.
Well, I love the prototype armor. I love that they had her in prototype armor.
I know it wasn't everyone's favorite. I really love the story.
Well, we got a mutant.
Who, Namor?
Yep. So we got a mutant, but I mean, that's trivial, right? Because we got mutants in WandaVision, if you count her children.
Right. That's right.
We got Miss Marvel, that's a mutant.
Which I get it, because Marvel Comics' original plan was to make her a mutant. That was the original plan for Kamala Khan to make her a mutant, but at the time they were having that fiasco with Fox and the X-Men, so they wanted to make the Inhumans. There was actually a push for those who actually, Ian, you probably didn't, but for those who read X-Men, which is why we hated X-Men for so many years, because Marvel didn't want to give. Fox was really. Fox did how many X-Men movies? And then they did that brilliant Legion television show, which was really brilliant. Probably the best thing to come out of Fox as far as Marvel Comics is concerned, because it was brilliant. But Marvel didn't want to give Fox anything that Marvel created that was really dope X-Men related. Fox had rights to if they wanted to put it on TV. So Marvel didn't want to give them that right. So they pretty much buried the X-Men, like really buried the X-Men in favor of the Inhumans. Started pushing the Inhumans, which was just preposterous, because there's no way you're going to make people forget about 17 years of the most single popular run in comics of all time, Chris Claremont's run, which is no argument. It is the greatest run in the history of comics. It was the most popular comic, the highest selling comic of all time. I mean, X-Men #1, Chris Claremont, Jim Lee sold. It still has the Guinness record for most sales on a comic. There's no way you're going to make people forget about that and be like, oh yeah, the Inhumans. We're running with the Inhumans now. But that's what, so Miss Marvel, she was intended to be a mutant in the first place. And they made her an Inhuman. And I guess, at least from what the creators said about the character being a mutant, I guess they're writing that wrong in the movie universe.
Okay. They should have waited. I think they should have waited for the FF to come out before they did the Inhumans. You have certain B titles need to be brought in with a bigger title so that they get enough push and enough exposure.
Well, yeah, that's why there's no Inhumans.
Right.
Because you're right. Like, how do you do Inhumans? That's another great point. How do you do Inhumans and there's no FF? Like, right. Medusa drops in FF. Black Bolt drops in FF. Like, how do you do the Inhumans and there's no FF? When Kamala Khan, arguably, there's several reasons why Kamala Khan couldn't have been. It just doesn't make sense to make her an Inhuman like she is in the comics. But I don't want to see her running around with the X-Men in the MCU either.
They made that terrible Inhuman show.
Not part of the MCU.
It was so bad.
Not a so Marvel show, any more than Cloak and Dagger was.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I mean, seeing Black Bolt though in a movie and seeing the response online, I think Inhumans would do well if they figured it out.
It was just so dumb that how they did. Like, it was just dumb. First of all, Wanda should have gotten crushed by that version of the Illuminati. Crushed. I mean, straight crushed by that version of the Illuminati. Period. Point blank. I understand what Wanda's capable of, but we all know that Wanda's not capable of that by force of her own will. Like, she by force of her own will, especially that particular Wanda, Miss Mental Basket Case Wanda, like, the way they got rid of Black Bolt was the worst writing to me ever.
And the worst is, like, it's not like a uniformed attack at her. It's just one person at a time, and it's like, oh, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead.
And this is the Illuminati, and they don't think, okay, this is Wanda, she's a problem. We got Stephen Strange with us, who sons Wanda every other issue that they're in together. He just straight sons her. Like, he treats her like she's 12 every time. Like, he talks to her like she's 12, like, every time. It's crazy.
Sean is dropping some I agree with Sean on a lot of
I agree too.
I don't have the chat open, so of course I get.
Nobody gives a crap about the Inhumans on screen or in comics. Same for Eternals. If Naaman can't make me care about Eternals, no one can. I used to say this, that if Neil Gaiman, it was horrible. But, and I still don't care about him. Kieran Gillen really wrote the hell out of the Eternals. Like, Kieran Gillen's run on the Eternals, his recent run, is probably the best run of Eternals, period, over Gaiman.
I remember you saying that, like, you actually had to buy an Eternals book, and you're like, it kills me that I actually have to buy an Eternals book.
I gotta pause, everybody. Sean Mather is one of my favorite people. We often have good conversations in the group. Sean, stop, bro. This is not true. This isn't even close to the truth. It is a dope. I understand why a lot of people think Wanda is the same power level as. Oh, okay, Jean Grey Phoenix. This is different than saying the Phoenix entity, right? Because the Phoenix entity is one of the single most powerful things in all existences. As a matter of fact, Phoenix is the same in all multiverses. It is the same Phoenix. Like, the Phoenix is necessary. I will give you that they have said Wanda, along with Odin, are considered to be, if existence had emotions, Wanda is one of them. Odin is another one of them. The Phoenix is something else. The Phoenix and Galactus have been compared. They've actually been considered, the Celestials consider them to be Celestials. They're not, but they consider them to be so because existence depends upon Phoenix and Galactus. They serve a purpose in existence. They are dependent upon them. The Phoenix entity, not Jean Grey Phoenix, although she is the White Phoenix of the Crown. Not Jean Grey Phoenix, but the Phoenix entity. What Phoenix can do that Wanda can't do, which is why they say the same power level, Phoenix can create life. Wanda can't. She can't. She tried. She tried to undo the deaths at Genosha. She just did it in X-Men. What was that? Not X-Men Fantastic Four. What was that stupid series that just came out in 2021 that ran across all books where like the plants were like what's his name? Hulkling and his empire had to like stop these plants from attacking. It was an X-Men. It ran across X-Men and ran across Empire. In Empire, she tried to right the wrongs of what she did on M-Day by resurrecting all the dead mutants from Genosha. She got sunned by Doctor Strange too, because when she resurrected them, she couldn't do it. They were like zombies running around like zombies, and Doctor Strange like pretty much had to verbally chastise her and slap her on the hand for it. Like, what are you doing, you idiot? You know you shouldn't be messing with this stuff. You can't handle this stuff. No offense, Sean. She is not. Jean Grey can create life. Jean Grey can resurrect life. Wanda cannot do that. She couldn't bring her kids back. She couldn't make her kids. She couldn't do it. She can't do it.
She just imagined kids and she's got kids. Come on, man.
But they're not real. They're constructs. She couldn't do it. And when she imagined kids in comics, she actually took parts of Mephisto, who was discorporated, and formed those kids and what happened to them. That spell got undone and they were wiped away. When she first created her kids, she took pieces of a non-corporal Mephisto and he wanted his pieces back. Wanda's super powerful. She had, for a while, she was just crappy character who had hex magic, which was just probability manipulation.
Right.
But now in Extremis, it is reality manipulation. But several characters can manipulate reality and do it on a level. I could name 5 characters right now that can manipulate reality on a level greater than Wanda. And we're not even talking, what do they call them? Abstracts. Phoenix is an abstract. Wanda's not. So let's not say Phoenix. Franklin Richards. To start, right? Matthew Malloy, Mad Jim Jaspers, Mr. M, Prodigy. Is Prodigy an abstract? Are we going to call Prodigy an abstract? I'm not talking about Prodigy from the X-Men. I'm talking about Prodigy from the cosmic entity Prodigy.
I don't know. I'm going to tell you someone not to forget about, though. Molecule Man.
Molecule Man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who killed the Beyonder? Molecule Man. I want to put Sean's comment up. Sean said Wanda created an entire alternate reality, giving nearly the entire world population mutant powers. So Franklin Richards created alternate realities in his sleep. How about Heroes Reborn?
Oh,
like
yeah.
He just did it. He's created alternate realities on like when he was 5 in his sleep. He does it all the time. Like all the time. And I will give you props on wanting to create an alternate reality, because even Doctor Strange said that he couldn't unwrite what Wanda did because she wove it into the fabric of reality. I will tell you, Sean, and I'm going to continue to tell you this because I like Scarlet Witch. She's a mental basket case. She did not do that consciously. She did it on an emotional binge when her brother got killed, and she said no more mutants and created it. It wasn't a conscious choice, because when she makes these conscious choices to do these things, she always screws something up. Seriously, she always screws it up when she consciously tries to do these things. When it's an emotional reaction, she does some really great, powerful things. I'm just saying. I just got listen. Phoenix level, nah. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna ask you a question, and it's complete left field of the conversation. But have we talked about new books, like the impact of and potential staying power of?
I know what you're gonna say.
Of Spider-Man #7.
I like it.
And Spider-Boy. I would love for the chat to weigh in too, and for each of you to weigh in, because it's hot.
So I only got a couple more minutes, and then I'm gonna hop off and let you guys kind of do your thing. Only because numbers, business tomorrow morning. I know it's a hot book. Don't get me wrong, it's a hot book. I think it's a flash in the pan. I really do.
Did you read it?
No, I don't want to open it up until I get like the second print. Is it wrong of me to say that? And I don't want to open it up? I don't want to read it?
Company, no, it's not wrong at all. I don't know enough about it, so I can't weigh in, honestly.
I watched you throw a copy on it like the other day, and yeah.
So, thoughts,
I can read it to you.
I have thoughts. I got it right here. I have thoughts on it. I think it's got the staying power of Tosin Adoye. I think the character is going to be more important than Tosin Adoye, and more immediately. And the reason why. So I read it. First of all, I want to tell you that this entire run is just the dumbest thing I've read, which is not anything new from Spider-Man. It's just really stupid. However, what they're doing with this character, I'm going to spoil this for you, for those who haven't read it, really quick, to tell you why I think it's going to have staying power. So the Wasp Totem obviously was getting rid of Spider-Man. She could stab them and erase them from existence, erased Peter Parker, erased several characters. It is determined now that the Spider Totem, the leader of all Spider Totems, is no longer Peter Parker, but Silk, and was always Silk. And when they finally defeat the Wasp Totem, they get an item from the original Spider Totem, the mother, the queen of all the Spider Totems. She gives them an item that allows them to bring the characters that were erased from existence back into existence. So when I say erased from existence, erased, as in not only were they removed from existence, no one had any idea that they ever existed, gone from existence. Wow. So when they get this item, they bring back they bring Spider-Woman back, they bring Peter Parker Spider-Man back, and then when they're done, Arana's doing it. She's got the mystical powers.
They bring Kane back.
They bring them all back. And when they're done, Arana senses something, and she's like, "Yo, there's something wrong. There's one more we need to bring back," and it's Spider-Boy. When they bring back Spider-Boy, all of the Spider-Verse variants are standing there like, "Who's this? We're all accounted for. We've never seen this character before." And Spider-Boy is like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Peter, Miles, it's me, Bailey. We've been on thousands of adventures together. What do you mean you don't know me? Screw you!" And he like pretty much gives them a subtle middle finger and swings off. And they say, we probably shouldn't have let him go like that. And Arana says, we should have brought him back first and a long time ago. Is what Arana pretty much hints at, that he should have been brought back. We should have never forgotten him. He should have been brought back a long time ago. Essentially, and I've read articles from Dan Slott on this, essentially, this character is a Sentry type character where he has always been a part of the Marvel Universe, and I'm going to take it a step further. He is Robin. He is essentially Spider-Man's Robin. You know, like Batman and Robin? He is essentially Spider-Man's Robin, and this is the way he's going to be written from here on out, as if he had always been Spider-Man's sidekick.
But do you think that, I mean, because the Spider-Verse books have given us a lot of characters over the years, every time they run this. And it's not hard to admit that Spider-Gwen is the number one character that's come out of any of the Spider-Verse titles. Do you feel as though there is potential that he even has an ounce of the staying power as that character?
Yeah, of course. And I think greater staying power. And the reason why I think Spider-Gwen is appealing out of comics, her comics aren't appealing. That's why she doesn't have an enduring title. She's got the dumbest name. Her name is Spider-Gwen, bruh.
No, it's Ghost Spider. You always tell me all the time that she's Ghost Spider, not Spider-Gwen.
She is Ghost Spider. But the title doesn't say Ghost Spider. The title of the book says Spider-Gwen. Every time they drop a limited series, they say Spider-Gwen. And I'm not hating on Spider-Gwen because Spider-Gwen is we already know, it is a grail key of the 21st century. Edge of Spider-Verse 2 is a grail key of the 21st century. But the staying power to keep the book on the shelves, I like Spider-Verse. I like Spider-Gwen. I like first appearances. I like key books. There's a reason why her ongoing doesn't go on. You will see Spider-Boy. They're going to be using him from here on out. They already made it clear. They have big plans for him for the rest of the year. You are going to see Spider-Boy from here on out.
I mean, Edge of Spider-Verse #3, this next volume is going to be the origin. So we'll see what the origin of this character is. But Slott has said that it's going to be very different from, because I thought of that the first time Peter was the Sentry, but it's going to be different. And he said, just come along for the ride. So I think this character is going to be around for a long time. I think that the price that it is right now is strong. And that's the first time I've seen a price stay that strong in weekly spec in quite a while. So it's nice. It's nice to see it. It's causing a little bit of a resurgence.
And very low circulation on that book too, because of how Marvel screwed Diamond.
So would it be safe to say that the variant would be the cover to have as opposed to cover A?
Say again?
Is it safe to say that the variant cover is the book to have as opposed to cover A?
Of course. Always.
But is it going to
equal? You want cover A, but all things are not equal. You always want the key cover.
But name me another character where the variant cover actually in the long run heads out.
If they're on that cover, if the character is on that cover, for sure. If the character's not on cover A and the character's on another cover in that same issue, that other cover, and this is a newer trend, but that other cover is going to beat out the A cover every time.
But is there another example of that?
Solemn's first appearance on X-Force and in Wolverine, the Solemn covers beat the A covers still to this day, and that book dropped in 2020. The A cover, the Solemn first appearance covers beat it right now.
But if that character blows up, like we have the thought that there's potential that character is going to blow up. Is it going to stay that way?
Say again? Yeah, of course. The cover appearance is always going to trump. I mean, you have the A cover. I always say you always have the A cover. But all things being equal, the cover you want is the first cover appearance. That's the way the market, in my opinion, it's the way the market's been trending. The cover appearance, and that cover appearance has got a lower print run too than the rest, not print run, circulation, than the rest of the covers. That cover appearance, and the A cover has value. Doesn't have the same value as that spoiler cover. The other covers have value too. Doesn't have the same value. And it's a good point, Ian, because A covers generally win the day when all things are equal.
I think you should have A's, the B cover, the C cover, the variants.
I have all of them. But I don't like all the covers of Black Panther 3, for instance. I just like the A cover. I think the A cover is the better of all the covers. As far as value wise, personally. Darren, are you following the Spider-Boy #7 and thing?
I know of it. I know the buzz, but I don't think I have the issue.
Really?
Yeah. Or did I do the pre-sale on that one and I forgot?
we didn't even pre-sell it. It was just so the thing with this particular cover is Marvel really screwed Diamond. I'm not saying they did it intentionally. So only 40% of comic shops in the US use Penguin.
Okay.
Which is Marvel's preferred publisher. They have a deal with Penguin. It's their preferred publisher. Just about 40% of comic shops in the US use Penguin. So when you order comics, Penguin, you have FOC Sunday night. You have to have your DC orders in by Sunday night. Penguin, for Marvel, not any other books, only indie books. I mean, excuse me. So Penguin still offers Marvel books and they offer indie books. Close of FOC for Marvel books through Diamond is Sunday night. The rest of the indie books is Monday night. The close of FOC for Marvel books through Diamond is on Sunday night. Mind you, only 40% of comic shops in the United States use Penguin. Penguin, you can still order Marvel books Monday night till midnight.
Wow. Okay.
So they didn't announce. They kind of said it was a spoiler cover, that they were doing a spoiler thing, but they didn't show the cover till after Diamond closed FOC.
Oh, wow. Okay.
On Sunday evening, which means everyone who had Diamond had to scramble to go back and try to order this book. And because FOC closed, you're not guaranteed to get the book. Penguin users were able to order it on Monday. Again, only 40% of comic shops use Penguin to order Marvel books.
I'm just saying, if this caught someone on the weekly, who orders books though by surprise, like, I don't know, Dan Slott was tweeting this out as a major introduction and a key for a month.
He did. But many people, I've been in many forums, you've been in the same forum, Sam, we're in some of the same forums. Many people thought he was pulling a Donny Cates.
Oh, I agree, but I trusted it.
Me too, because Dan Slott has done nothing but make money for anyone who's invested in his Spider-Verse stuff.
And for me, any introduction of a Spider character as a first appearance, that's a gamble I'm willing to take every single time. Every single time.
So how many copies are you sitting on?
I just got the submission grades back. I hit a pre-screen 25-25.
9/8?
9/8.
25 A's, 25 B's?
Nope, 25 B's.
Oh, 25 all 9/8? Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Good.
That is sweet.
We have 17 on the way to CGC.
I think I'm gonna move enough to cover and then just sit.
Yep.
Smart.
Yep.
But gentlemen,
we sold it multiple times over at one point. So yeah, we're now just gonna. Spider-Verse drives the highest FOMO more than any other title. Marvel, DC, Indie, nothing touches it.
All right. So, but before we hop out, for those who saw yesterday, and I gotta hop out because I got things to do here. Talking about Spider-Verse. Yesterday, we showed this in our quick little thing we did, but picked up all these for $1, by the way.
So with the Spider-Verse, two of the biggest grails in the 21st century are Spider-Verse grails.
Yeah.
Ultimate Fallout 4 is probably the #1 grail. And then you got it, Edge of Spider-Verse 2. So yeah, Spider-Verse certainly drives FOMO. I mean, it makes money. There's a lot of money in the Spider-Verse with your Penny Parkers and your first appearance of Spider-Man Noir and I mean tons of characters that have real value.
Yeah, but all right. Well, gentlemen, it's about that time. So I'm going to hop out. I'll let you guys carry on. Got to go get some things taken care of before, work tomorrow.
All right, man. Shout out to you, Ian Michaels. Appreciate you being in the stream tonight. As always, see you next time around, Brody.
Yep.
See ya.
See ya.
Hello? Okay.
We'll hear.
Do you think that the market has changed enough, and you would know probably better than anyone, Ish, that, and Darren, as a collector, you and I are on the same wavelength. We buy heavy, right? So it's hard. It's sometimes hard to tell for us, but do you think the ordering and the demand and sales is now starting to bring back real value in ratios. I've seen a lot of ratios lately really pop off and start to go crazy. DC and Marvel both, just because stuff is going under ordered lately. A lot of people aren't buying as much. Have you noticed that?
Ratios popping off?
A lot more than the past year and a half.
So Marvel's 1 in 25s. I'm thinking of Amazing Spider-Man 14 at first, Hallows Eve, second print, 1 in 25. A couple 1 in 25s. Recently the Spider-Gwen second print 1 in 25, because they're changing for the 1 in 25s. They're changing the paper than they were on the original or the regular cover. They're like changing the paper, different quality, the whole nine. Those 1 in 25s are kind of. There was one that came out the same week as the Spider-Gwen. It was another 1 in 25 second print that was, I think, Hallows Eve number 2 1 in 25, or Hallows Eve number 1 second print 1 in 25. They were going for crazy prices, like 100 plus easy.
Wow.
I don't like them.
That Wonder Woman, that Planet Lazarus, Revenge of the Gods. I forgot the guy's name. Saint-Pierre, the gold foil 1 in 50. It's like $150 book. The Poison Ivy 1 in 50s are like $150.
DC ratio variants are bankable though. You can make DC ratio variants.
Oh, they're nuts right now.
Yeah.
And then the Action Comics foils, the 1 in 50s, did really well, starting at like 1051, and 1052 is pretty pricey.
Mm-hmm.
Superman 2 with that first appearance was like $100+.
Superman 1. I still got a ton of Superman 1 ratio variants.
Yeah. This week or last week, the Marvel Voices. Now those are expensive anyways, but that John Jang
cover
variant was off the hook.
Yeah, the 1 in 50 over there.
There's some pre-order.
Darren, you have the 1 in 50 sitting at the warehouse.
It's there's some, and I notice on like the Discords that people are hunting for ratios again. Like you have to go out there and hunt. They're not easily found on the websites for pre-orders like they were, especially not for good prices. So I think it's bouncing back, which is
so
nice.
When you say bouncing back, let's look at it, right? DC, dare I say it, started the upward trend as far as ratios having staying power as far as dollar value with the Wonder Woman, black, white, and golds.
Yep,
and then the Catwoman 1 in 25s, and then the Poison Ivy ratio variants that really had real staying power. And then you get a Black Panther number 3 1 in 25.
Boom.
And boom.
Yep.
Let's not discount Taskmaster 3 as well, but like really like with DC trending upward in their ratio variants, and not on every title. Again, you can go back to Wonder Woman, Black, White, and Gold, the Catwoman ratio variants, which was just for no reason. They weren't even key books, right? They were just ratio variants that people really wanted and were paying money for. And then the Poison Ivy ratio variants. And then again, you get the Tosin Adoye last year. And so for me, personally, I only like big ratio variants from mainstream books. Indie books, I like the ratio variants. But for mainstream books, on things that I collect, it either has to be a book I collect or the ratio variant has to be a key. For me, the ratio variant itself has to be a key.
Meaning it's a first appearance on a cover versus the other covers. Okay.
If the other covers don't have a first appearance, but that book is a first appearance, then obviously I want the ratio variant. But for instance, I think the best version of Spider-Boy is going to be this cover. I think it's going to be better than the second print 1 in 25. I think this is the cover. I think the second print 1 in 25 will be hot, but I think this is going to be the best one.
I 100% agree with you on that.
So for me, obviously, if we're talking all new Ghost Rider, you want the 1 in 50. You want that 1 in 50. You know what I mean? But if it's just Okay, so if you look at Legion of X #1, which came out 2021, right? 2020, 2022, 2021, 2022. So you get a 1 in 50 and a 1 in 25. You get first cover appearance on the 1 in 50 weaponless Zen, right? But on the one of the other covers of the regular covers, like I got the 1 in 50, but the Mother Righteous cover isn't a racial variant. She's a clone of one of the four, the clone of Hearts, one of the 4 Nathaniel SX or Mr. Sinister clones. I like the Mother Righteous cover over the 1 in 50 every day of the week. Long term, I want the Mother Righteous cover over the. I want that cover over the 1 in 50 for me. So again, I only like racial variants for mainstream books. If it's a key book, or if that cover is a key cover. Otherwise, I could leave it on the table. With the exception of books I collect, like for my personal collection. I love racial variants on indie books though, because they're racial. Indie books are under ordered anyway.
Mm.
And it's getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
Print runs are getting lower and lower and lower.
Is it just less people buying product? Is that what's causing this to happen? Okay.
As far as it's tough right now, you know, with what they're calling inflation or recession. It's really tough for local comic shops to justify ordering 100 copies of a book that they didn't pre-sell. That's just going to sit on the table. You don't make enough money off the racial variance to justify your cost. You just don't.
Okay.
And every book. So I just did FOC tonight, right? And I ordered. You got Extreme Venomverse coming out. It's got 1 in 25s. You got Nick Fury coming out. It's got 1 in 25s. Storm's got 1 in 100s and 1 in 25s. This is just Marvel. Storm's got 1 in 100s, 1 in 25s. I'm trying to think what else. DC Cyborg's got 1 in 50s, 1 in 25s, 1 in 100s. The Vigil's dropping 1 in 50s, 1 in 25s, 1 in 100s from DC. DC, actually every book pretty much from DC has at least a 1 in 50. Who can really justify this cost? No one is selling. There's no comic shop. Very few comic shops are ordering 100 copies of a book and selling through them in the first week. 100 copies and selling through that?
Mm-hmm.
Very few comic shops are. There are those that are doing it, but very few. Very few. So it's like, how do they justify that cost if they're not pre-selling the book? It's hard. It's really hard, especially recession, inflation. Like, it's hard. It's really, really hard. There are books where I'd like to order bigger variants, but I'm not going to sell through more than 25 to 30 copies. So I'm just going to go with the 1 in 25s. If I don't pre-sell it, I'm just going to go with the 1 in 25s. I ordered 100 Storms because I want the 1 in 100. I'm just going to eat the cost on that.
Talk to me about that Blade. I saw that drop today on comiXsense. What are your thoughts on that?
The film?
Well, the comic, because I know they got a new title coming out. It's Blade #1. What do you think is staying power on that, especially with the new movie and all the talk about the new character, the actor that plays him?
I'm always curious. So I of course I'm going to get it. I always get #1 issues. I saw the advertisement, but for me, I know what Marvel and Disney, how they market, right? Like, we're going to get a Riri series before the television show drops.
Okay.
We're going to, just like before the She-Hulk show drop, we got a new She-Hulk series. We got a new Silk series. What I like about these books, and I know why they do it, right? There are going to be a bunch of people who are going to want to watch Blade films, and they're going to want to go to a comic shop and find Blade, right? What I like about these books is what you're doing is taking an old school character that has an old school rogues gallery and a deep, rich history that someone new to the property, new to the franchise, watching these films aren't going to be able to, they're not going to be recognizable to them, right? Like, they're not going to go to a comic shop and find these characters. So they drop these new series And they bring some of these old characters back and they bring new characters back. And all of them have potential to show up on screen, which is why they do it. You see something on screen, you run to the comic shop, there's Blade on the shelf. There is going to be that old school character. They brought him back. Blade's going to fight him. I get to see this character. And then I get to see some of these new characters that are potentially going to show up on screen as well. So I always like them. I always push. Listen, when a book comes out now, because of the way Disney runs Marvel, now when a new book drops, especially when you know a show is coming up, because that's why they're dropping the book, right? They did so many Miss Marvel runs. And America Chavez again, to give them backstory. They don't have a lot of story out there. To give them backstory, to give them new characters, to give them a rogues gallery, to give them a supporting. So yes, I like Blade. I like Blade number 1. I don't know that I care for the entire series because Blade was always boring. It's boring as an Avenger.
Yeah,
Blade is not fun. Wasn't great stuff until they took him out of the vampire world and put him on, a superhero team. It just wasn't good. You had to read Dracula, which I love Dracula, but it wasn't good. What do you think, Sam?
I haven't seen it, to be honest with you.
Oh, you didn't
so
see
I
it?
don't know. No. I mean, I'm all about Blade as a character in terms of a new series. Is his daughter in it with him?
Right.
Well, she's got her own series out right now.
True, but is it just him or is it him and her?
It's just Blade.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't know because I don't know if Blade is go from issue 1 all the way to issue 50 type series, or is it going to be
15.
We get 12 issues here and then another volume.
We're gonna get the Shang-Chi treatment.
That's the stuff where I get it. I know why they're doing it. It's sometimes the only way they can make books for these characters because they make a ton of money upfront on the number 1 and it carries them forward. But I don't know. I don't know if there's long-term value from a spec standpoint. I'm always down for a Blade story. Heck yeah. Let's bring it on.
So the one thing I would say about long-term value from a spec point is those things are always up in the air to me because this is what you get when you get these 12 to 15 issue runs, right? Look at Moon Knight. Like right now, that Moon Knight run right now, you probably should have it, right? Like tons of keys in that run, tons of first appearances. Who knew? Moon Knight is a run that you probably should have. I agree with Sam Murdoch. People generally buy number 1s. I push number 1s. I like number 1s, but then look at Avengers Forever. Probably should have the 15 issue run of Avengers Forever as well. You know what I mean? These are runs that, you get a creative team. They jump on a book. They write it for 15 issues. They're going to be done. The book ends. Someone else picks it up. And that creator or that creative team decides, all right, I'm going to give you 4 new characters that actually matter, that are really cool and that really matter. Or they're just going to write, a great story or what have you. I don't know. I'm going to keep an eye on Blade. I mean, Carnage, right? We got a ton of keys in Carnage. A ton of keys in Carnage so far. A ton of keys in this new Venom run. And that's going to end. I think Donny Cates just ended this run on Hulk, right? Ton of keys in the Hulk run.
I'm just excited for it to end.
Wait for Hulk. I think it's over. I think it's over after this.
I know it is, and then
yeah, me too.
Relaunch in June?
So bad.
It was bad.
So bad.
It was bad, man.
I mean, we got a cool character out of it, but man, was it so bad.
It's rough, dude.
It's really, really bad. It's really bad. Like who told him he could do this to Hulk? After Immortal.
I think that was the toughest part of it to swallow. Is Immortal was phenomenal. I do think Immortal went 25 issues too long because it was insane in those first 25 issues.
Donny Cates is going to space us out. He had to go to space. He had to go to, not Donny Cates, L. Ewing. It's L. Ewing, the best writer in Marvel, hands down right now. Period. Has been for a long time. Period.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where they take Hulk now.
Hopefully they take him out of Starship Hulk mode. It's just bad, man. It's so bad. So this is the most Johnny Cage comes off Venom, and this is what we get on Hulk, and it's the most forgettable run of Hulk. It's so forgettable. So yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes to. Marvel looked to give Cates an open book for Hulk based on Venom and Thor sales. Yeah, and he failed on that one. And I guess 2 out of 3 ain't bad, right? I'm good as long as Cates doesn't end up in the X office. Because right now, to be honest with you, with L. Ewing, Kieran Gillen, and Cy, man, they're really writing some really good X-Men books right now. L. Ewing, Kieran Gillen, I mean, they're really writing some good X-Men books right now. The rest of them, I mean, Ben Percy, okay, the rest of them are all right, but man, L. Ewing and Kieran Gillen are killing it. That Sins of Sinister. Did you read that, Sam?
No,
I just finished the last issue. It's out this week. Huh?
I am behind on X-Men. The only
Bruh, Sins of Sinister might have been the best crossover since. It's so
I hear
good.
it was phenomenal and
It's
significantly
so
better
good.
than Extra Sword, so that makes me excited.
But Extra Sword, come on, man, stop. Stop. That's what we're doing.
What do you think about the Hellfire Gala for this year?
I cannot wait.
I think it's going to be sweet.
Yeah, man. The past 2 have been really good. They terraform Mars. Like each Hellfire Gala has been really good. Yep. Really, really, really good. But
I actually think that's an underrated key that people don't talk about because of the Hellfire Gala. Actually, like planet size.
Which one?
In terraforming Mars.
Yes.
Like that story element was overshadowed by Hellfire Gala. You know.
Right.
But
right.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, really, really big deal. And coming out of Sins of Sinister, so I just read Dominion. It's out Wednesday. I'm just gonna tell everybody. Powers of X, number 2, might be number 1, whichever the first appearance of Rasputin is.
Yep.
Have it.
Powers of X number 1.
Have the first appearance of Rasputin. I'm telling you now.
I love that book.
Nah, you're gonna love it even more after Wednesday. I can't spoil it, but I'll tell you when the stream goes off. I can't spoil it, like, because I want to keep my Penguin account. But when the stream's over, I will tell you. I'm telling you now. Have Powers of X number 1, and as a backup, have Rasputin's first appearance in this Sins of Sinister crossover, because they might make this character. Rasputin is here to stay. That's all I'm gonna say. Rasputin is Earth 616 here to stay.
I might have to see. I don't even know if I bought the Sins of Sinister stuff. I scaled back so much, dude.
Is it just because the reading isn't good anymore?
I couldn't keep up. Some of the reading wasn't good. I scaled back on X-Men because there were so many titles. We talked about that before. I kept Marauders and I kept X-Men. So I read those, right? And then I stopped doing minis for a lot of books, which I know the chat talked about that earlier. There's so many.
X-Men Red is really good.
I've heard X-Men Red.
Like so good. Immortal X-Men is good.
Yep.
And Legion of X has been really good as well.
I honestly, like, for those books, I've heard about them, which makes me want to read them. You know me, like I'll probably have to grab a trade and then backtrack and find the keys.
Yeah. X-Men Red is L. Ewing. Really killing it. Kieran Gillen's killing Immortal. I'm like really X-Men Red is really good. I liked everything that came out of since Hickman left. Everything that, because you could tell who's pulling the strings. It's Kieran and L. Like they're really running the House of X. And you can tell. It's the reason why when they did the Sins of Sinister, X-Force isn't in that crossover. Marauders isn't in it. None of the other books, just the core titles. Not even the regular X-Men book is in it. It's X-Men Red, Immortal X-Men, Legion of X. Those are the 3 books that were in that the other, even the regular X-Men title wasn't a part of Sinister. You could tell who's really running the House of X, and it's in good hands. I'm really glad. Really, 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 really dope. Jason Aaron is doing Star Wars Darth Vader Black, White, and Red, or Red, White, and that book. And he's got his indie book. Obviously, he's going to write a Marvel book.
100 books a week.
That's a lot of pull. That's a pull. Holy crap.
That was my old pull. I'm out of space.
I don't pull 100, but I pull a lot.
I'm out of space. That's the other problem.
Yeah, I'm feeling that, man. I'm definitely feeling that.
I've got like 6 long boxes of indies here that I'm about to like just go to someone and be like, take them all for like $50 a box. Like that's the point I'm getting to for all of this stuff.
It happens, man. It happens.
Yeah, it's really tough.
Peter knows. It's like you have an Ish. Like, I mean, both of you know. I mean, dear God, but you collect runs of something, and just the run of one issue takes up like 30 short boxes.
Especially when you're collecting a 15 issue run, like something. I have 15. My first 15 issues of Something That's Killing the Children, including all covers, takes up a short box, and it's just 15 issues.
Wow,
15 issues. You know what I'm talking about, Sam, and it's a short box because of all the variant covers.
I blame you for me having a short box full of Grimm 1 through 6 right now. Like, I mean, you could blame me too because I was super high on that, but like,
yeah. Listen. I collect runs. Like there's runs that I have to. I don't collect. Like obviously, I collect all the X titles, but I'll do runs of books I like. Like I think are so I have my modern era value runs, right? Things that I think are modern era runs that people should have. Champions. I like Squirrel Girl, X-23. Runs that I think are going to be down the line, hard to find valuable runs. And there's indie runs, so look, the Max, Monstrous, things like that, right? I like to find and put together runs. I'm not petering it up though. I'm definitely not buying, like, it's one thing to buy 100 issues a week. That's cool. I'm not collecting 100 titles a week. I'm going to get all the number ones and all that good stuff. I like to get number 2, number 3, but I'm not going to have, I might do Hallows Eve though. I really like that book, but I'm not buying every issue of every book every week. Certain stuff, Star Wars High Republic, you gotta buy everything. You didn't put your High Republics on the back burner, did you?
Oh, you don't want to know. Like I've got Star Wars boxes.
Take care, Sean. Nice having you, bro. Always good conversation.
Yeah, Sean.
See you, Sean.
My High Republic stuff is now overflowing. It's too much.
See, so I'll take it.
Too much. No,
I'll take it.
Here. I still got to pick up High Republics from you.
You do. What about I got to pick up Squirrel Girls from you and Laura Kinney's from you.
Oh yeah. Is there are there series that, since I've talked to both of you, that you're looking to complete?
Squirrel Girl.
Stuff that you're hunting down.
Squirrel Girl. The Max.
I don't have much Squirrel Girl.
We're talking the original run of Max?
Yeah.
Only run, I guess. Okay.
Yep. The 35 issue run.
Wow.
What are you missing?
The Max?
Yeah.
Bunch of it.
You gotta go to you gotta go down the street. They just got some in.
Which direction down the street?
Near me.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, like 1 through 10 or something like that. I think
I got those and Newsies.
Well, and it's the black and white though.
With the IDW?
The black and white number 1, the first one, the glow in the dark.
Really?
Yep.
Well, great. How'd it look?
It looked nice.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I might have an ash can or 2 of Max.
Ooh.
I don't know if you're interested in that or not. I got it in a collection, and I think they might even be signed if either of you guys are interested.
I am. I am. We'll talk. We'll talk.
All right.
Why am I looking for Max? Sam asked, why am I looking for Max? I just think it's one of those Image old school runs, indie runs, that was really critically acclaimed, really, really, really good run. I think it'll matter somewhere down the line, especially those lower print 25 through 35 really, really matter. Another indie Image run I think will matter. A lot of people sleep on, and now some of the lower prints are hard and hard to put together and harder. Savage Dragon is another one that I think
Larson
again.
Low
Print runs and really consistent book. One of my favorite Image comics back in the day too, by the way, was really good. Yeah, Peter said it'll be like low print Spawns. Exactly. Look, those low print Spawns. I don't think
Spawns have gone crazy.
Yeah, they're really crazy. But I don't think the Max is done. I think Sam Keith is done. I don't think that character is done. I don't think the Max as a character is done. And if it is, I mean, if it ever gets made into a series or live action, it's a 35 issue complete and powerful story, right? Like this is a story that's not for kids, right? Like she was raped. The main villain is her rapist, Mr. Gone, and it's like all kind of crazy psychological stuff going on, and they're creating coping mechanisms in the form of the Max or Norbert, which is like the horse character, like really strong. I could see this play out on like HBO Max or, you know, something where you could really tell a strong story. That Max story is, you know, he looks like a, you know, a bad apple character with the middle fingers as weapons, but the reality is like the story is really strong, really, really strong story.
That's a hard book to track down.
First Gunslinger.
Yeah.
I got him.
Good
I got
stuff.
798. No, I don't have any. I don't have the First Gunslinger. Really tough book to track down as well. You have a Gunslinger?
No, I've only seen like one in person.
I've
never seen it on a wall in a shop. Like maybe at a con or something, but I mean like that someone owns. I've only seen one around here.
I think Fernando has it. Fernando Bonilla.
They're out. They're definitely holed up in people's collections.
Yeah. People who knew, right? I mean, Todd McFarlane dropped so many.
I never saw that HBO Spawn cartoon. How was that? That was 90s, wasn't it?
It's phenomenal.
David Keith. Yep. Oh, so we've been 2 hours strong. Really dope episode. And I gotta get up super early because I haven't claimed my damages yet. So I want to make sure that Penguin gets them before 9 a.m. Yeah, I want to do that. So I'll probably get up at like 2:33, and I gotta send them. I have to send them photos of all of the day. I got a lot of damages this week too.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, over 100 copies.
Penguin is pretty intense in comparison to Diamond for
as far as damages.
Yep.
Yeah, but what I love about Penguin is if I claim them, I can have them delivered overnight.
That's nice.
Which is what I do. I have them overnighted. Whereas Diamond, who knows what I'm going to get? If I have to claim them, who knows what I'm going to get them?
It could be like a week. It could be
3 weeks, 4 weeks, or I could be calling like, "Where am I?" You know what I mean? Whereas I just send my rep an email with the photos and the item codes.
Yep.
I get them overnighted. He gets it by Monday at 9. He has it out by 11 a.m. and I get him the next day.
Penguin boxes are just rough in general too.
It's that Penguin, like DC books come the best.
You know?
Yeah, it is. It is. DC comes the best. I'm like, why don't you just copy DC's model? Just copy it. Just copy it. I'd never have a DC damage ever.
A box in a box.
It's a box in a box, but they don't just put the box in the box. They put bubble wrap all around the box before they put it in a box. Whereas Penguin puts a box in a box,
and
they put brown paper around the size of the box that aren't touching the other box. So it's like, okay, well, it's around 3 sides of the box, but this one side, every time all the books are damaged because you put this little box in this bigger box and you don't do anything to support that side at all. And then some of the packers are horrible. You'll get boxes. We got a box once. It wasn't even tape. It was like one piece of tape that had the box. I took a picture of it and sent it to her because I knew everything in it was going to be damaged. I want to say the seam, you tape over the seam. It was a piece of tape this long over like one end of the box, and like the books were hanging out. I'm like, yo, and they have to sign that they packed this box. Bro, I took a picture of the box before I even opened it. Everything in the box was damaged. They're like, yeah, you got to send us covers. It was like someone filling in for our representative, and he was mad. He's like, you got to send us covers. We're like, okay. Then our rep came and he was like, no, you don't got to send covers. He was like, just send me pictures of what's damaged. And because I'm like, okay, you're paying for that. We'll tear the covers off. No problem. I'll tear off you already know I'll throw books across the room. I'll tear off every cover. I have no problem with that. So yeah, man, we're going to get ready to get up out of here because it is late. It is 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we had Darren Tucci in the house, special guest from Pressing Matters LLC. And we had Comic Sam in the house, which is also it's a double treat because we haven't seen Comic Sam in a while. Are we going to be seeing you more often, Comic Sam?
You just got to give me a schedule. I'll figure it out.
Every Sunday.
We got to get him
to Sundays. So I turned off Facebook notifications when they did that at everyone. So I've been
God, I hate that, man.
I don't
that
add people.
Sucks.
I don't add everybody.
No Facebook in my life.
Yeah.
A lot better.
We gotta get him. We gotta get him to come to the takeover of collectibles galore. That'll be a blast.
Last Friday in May, Sam.
Be fun.
Work is crazy. Let's talk. We'll talk.
But can we get you every? Can we get you every Sunday?
Every Sunday, actually, yeah, I can make that happen. Pending some family stuff, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Darren, we got to have you more often too. This was an awesome conversation.
I'll be happy to come on, man. I'll give my old man opinion. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that would be awesome, man. We can get you in here every Sunday too, or as often as you'd like to come. I'm good with every Sunday.
Man. Be really awesome. You want to see some more goodies?
We still got to do a live chat.
This is live.
No, I mean in person.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we do. Definitely got to do an in-person live chat. I want a ton of comic books around us. Ton of comic books around us. Yeah. We could do it downstairs in Darren's basement.
Oh yeah. It's all carpeted and sound beautiful down there. So yes, let's put that on the calendar. Make it happen, okay?
Yeah, we'll make that happen for sure. So I want you guys to give a word to all the people, and then I'm gonna give the last word, and we're gonna get up out of here.
Well, good seeing everybody. Hope to see you guys in the aisles at many comic shows. Empire Comic Fest is coming up. There's one in Albany. There's going to be a show over at the Marriott. Patty Haynes is doing that one. Just get out, support your local comic shops. Read, talk about your books, do whatever you got to do. But this is sometimes it could be a dying breed. Let's keep it alive. Comics are comics, so keep it going.
It feels good to talk shop.
Yes.
Because it's been a long time.
It has been a long time.
I miss you all, and I love seeing the same names in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's been fun looking at all your comments, seeing what you're all up to.
Sam, yeah, it is the week. It's this week. Yeah, this weekend coming up. It is the last weekend of at the Marriott. That's it. Looks to be a good show. Always a great buying market, these days now. And he brings in a lot of old guys that have all sorts of good stuff. They go through their collections, and all of a sudden you're finding EC comic. Like, what the hell does this thing come from? So you got to go. Those are the ones. Those are the sleepers.
So listen, I really appreciate it. comiXsensory Perception. We had Ian Michaels. I'm going to sign off for him. Darren Tucci, Pressing Matters LLC. Comic Sam. Follow Comic Sam Collects on Instagram. Follow Pressing Matters LLC on follow their page on Facebook. I believe you're on Instagram too, because I believe I follow you. Follow Darren Tucci. Again, follow Comic Sam's. Follow Pressing Matters LLC, and you can also follow ISHUE.X issue X on Instagram as well. And before we get up out of here, I just want to tell everyone, like and follow comiXsense's Facebook page. Join the group. Find us on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Find us on Instagram. Find us on the Twitter. Find Darren Tucci's page, Pressing Matters LLC. Like the page. Find Comic Sam's on Instagram. Comic Sam's Collects, right? On Instagram. Follow Comic Sam's Collects on Instagram. So this has been Comic Sensory Perception, episode 12, otherwise known as CSP. I am Issue X, and we're up out of here. Pieces.